Welcome back to Marketing Champions on Daily Ad Brief. I'm your host, Mike White, and on Marketing Champions, we're meeting with experts in the industry that are talking about all the changes, tips, tricks, and trends, and everything that they do to help their customers' businesses grow. Join us today, Hilarie Viener with Viener Partners. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Mike. It's good to be back.
Well, talking about Viener Partners, give us a little understanding of what kind of services you provide your customers.
Sure. We're a full-scale marketing and branding agency with a global tint. What I mean by that is we work with a lot of companies that are trying to come into the U.S. market from different markets around the world and figure out how to nuance their brand, their strategy, their communications, and their media.
What's the biggest challenge that companies have when they're trying to come into the U.S. To get their brand and market position?
A lot of it is just what we call cultural alignment, really. A lot of times a brand will have a message or a mission or even colors or the way they talk about their brand or the words that they use that don't match with the U.S. market. And also, a lot of brands come in thinking the U.S. market is one thing versus understanding the media proliferation and the segmentation of each market.
When those companies come in, do you pick a specific market to do a test market in? Do you start with local, then regional, then national, or is there a different strategy?
There's a different strategy for each. So depending on sometimes like one of our clients from Australia is a food company, and it really depends on their distribution model. So if a product per se isn't available in certain markets, we obviously wouldn't target that. So a lot of it is figuring out the audience segmentation of where we think that the product has the most instant traction to get some attention before we try to crack into other markets.
Are there a lot of companies that try to come in that just don't have the proper funding to make it work, and how do you address those customers?
There's a lot of companies that try to come into every market that don't have the proper funding. So it's not really just a international to U.S. problem, but we address it by figuring out, what we do a process with Viener Partners called discovery. So with that, we figure out all the different nuances of the brand and including their budgets and their media opportunities. So a lot of times it's really figuring out what comes first, whether it's, a social media play, whether it's a branding play, whether it's a PR play, whether it's, paid, earned, owned media. We have to kind of figure that out from a strategic standpoint before we address the budgets and how to make them work most effectively.
Is there an ideal industry or sector that your firm enjoys working with?
Not really. I mean, I think all of the work has its own unique challenges, and what we look for, as marketers, is finding good challenges where we can actually effectively help a brand grow. So there's really isn't. We don't work by category. We really work from a strategic position to see how we can help the client and what the best strategies and tools and media opportunities are for them.
Over the past 12 months, are there any changes in the way that some of these companies internationally had to market their products and services based upon COVID?
Oh, the whole world's spun around, yes. The client I was mentioning from Australia, when a food product comes into the market, a lot of times, what you're trying to do is test it, right? So you can't, during COVID, you can't do the things that you normally would have easily done, which is sampling and going to different events and pop-ups and all this, all the kinds of things where you give product away and you integrate with crowds and all of the things that, make sense for a brand when it's trying to launch. So yes, we've had to do a lot of things differently and had to become very kind of crafty and nimble and work on the fly a lot to make sure that the brand gets the exposure or figure out how to, delay things or reconfigure things so that you're not just putting money out into the marketplace without being able to satisfy any consumer demand that you create.
Is that tough with the pivot? So you've been successful for years at you have a process and you can bring a brand in and do certain tactics and it's going to be successful. But with the pivot, you've now got to try new things that may or may not work. been a challenge for your firm? As you talked about, do you just wait things out or do you try new opportunities?
It's been a challenge, but again, it's been kind of a good challenge because that's when you really become more of a partner, which is something that's actually in our name, but you become more of a partner with your clients of getting in it together and really, having a universal understanding that we're in a unique time. And I think, fortunately for us, a lot of our clients have been very understanding of that they too, from their internal standpoint, are going through an unprecedented time. So I think it's really created closer bonds with our clients and closer bonds with all of the people that we work with globally, because we're all trying to figure it out, and it's actually opened up more channels than you would ever expect, because people are sharing ideas from all over the place just to kind of test things out and see how things work.
What excites you most about the advertising industry?
Oh my gosh, I've kind of been a fan of it since I can remember. So I think it's just kind of it's the creative process that we hope never gets taken over by any kind of automation or anything else. It's really figuring out consumer dynamics and strategies and creativity, and really going having the flexibility to go way outside the box and come back in and create something unique, and actually watch a product from the ideation to inception to creation to something that becomes part of the consumer vernacular is really exciting, no matter what the category or product is.
Well, Hilarie, I appreciate you coming on the program today. It's always a pleasure to have the time to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Mike.
To find out more about Viener Partners and all the great things Hilarie can do for your business, visit us at dailyadbrief.com. We'll see you next time on Marketing Champions.